So the shocking news is something with me personally, but we do have a lot to get to in the Nancy Guthrie case, some statements that Chris Nanos said, some news media releases Chris Nanos has provided about the 84-year-old grandmother ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman, never to be seen again. So let's get into all of the shocking news we have this beautiful Sunday morning.
Bullhorn Betty rocks.
So get your cup of coffee or beverage. Not everybody's a coffee lover up in here. And get comfy and let's chat.
Coffee steaming, files on the table. We clocking early, hunt what's unstable. Bullhorn Betty on the curb, voice raised. Flip-flop queen with the homemade phrase. Notebook thick, got the screenshots flag. Names in red ink, every rumor, every tag. Late night live stream, screen glow on her face. Truth in her throat, got a lawman's pace. She don't blink when the threats roll through. Come see me, she says, if you think that's cute. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. Insane Asylum, that's our crew nickname. Laugh so loud while we track these names. Whiteboard wild with the webs we spin. Pen to pen, see the pattern sink in. Turmo shaking when the case goes cold. We stir it back up, won't do what we're told. Doorstep question, side eye stare. Where were you that night? We hanging right there. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. This for the faces on the milk cart labels. This for the families praying at tables. This for the names that the news won't say. We say them out loud every single day. Every day. If you're running in the dark, better feel that fear. Betty got a bullhorn right in your ear. Coffee club crazy, but we think so clear. One small town, whole world gonna hear. Hey! Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that the day gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we take red
Well, good, beautiful Sunday morning. I am dragging this morning out. Guys, we have shocking information. Shocking. I mean, this goes beyond, like, you know, Nancy Guthrie shocking. This is pretty shocking. This is like misgendering your child. The wrong one. Where's my Lappy? Lappy, work for me, Lappy. Please work for me. There we go. Okay. Before we talk about Miss Nancy Guthrie, we need to talk about Bullhorn Betty. Now, raise your hand if you know that your friend here, Bullhorn Betty, is not a farmer. Okay, we're not a farmer. I don't know what I'm doing. Do you guys understand? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a farmer. I come from the country. My family is like a bunch of farmers and like railroad people. and I don't know how to farm. Okay, I'm not farmer in the Dale. I'm just not. I try very, 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 very hard to be farmer in the Dale. I'm just not farmer in the Dale. No, not shocking information. Okay. All right. Thank you for the confidence, Lisa B. Always. We definitely appreciate you. Thank you for the confidence. We appreciate you. Well, many of you guys don't know, but I'm trying to grow something. I gave you guys the story. I'm not going through the story again because it's disgusting. It's a disgusting story, let's be honest. And we knew it was a gamble. We knew it was a gamble. We got the poor little seedling wanted to live. Poor little seedling wanted to live, and I'll let it live. Damn it! I don't know what I'm doing, but I tried. Right? I tried. You know, like when you find a little birdie and you bring it back and you try to, nurture it back to health, or a little squirrel and you nurture it back to health, and you guys become BFFs. Well, that's what I did to this poor little seedling. Right? I gave it life. Damn it! Gave it life on a Sunday. No, it's not an avocado tree. But Sig's getting the point. Sig's getting the point, okay? It's not an avocado tree, but guys, breaking news. Let's get all the... There is breaking news coming in from the Bullhorn Betty channel. It's not a cucumber. It is not a cucumber. I kept calling it a fruit, and I didn't understand why the hell I'm calling it a fruit, but it doesn't look like a cucumber. I keep going out there, and I'm waiting for it to, peter. It ain't petering. It's boobying. So, I don't think we got cucumbers, okay? I didn't know what I had. Okay, I have a brown thumb. Oh, you have no idea. This is the most life I have brought to a plant in the history of Bullhorn Betty. Okay, I'm just saying. It ain't petering. Okay, it's boobying. I don't think. It can't be a watermelon. Did I have watermelon that week? I had seedless watermelon, but it didn't look like that's definitely not a cucumber. It doesn't look like a cucumber. When it was just a little ball, coming out of the flower, it started, you can't tell. Well, it's been raining a lot, and this little sucker here, now, mind you, I got a trellis for cucumbers, not freaking watermelon or cantaloupe, okay? Which that's definitely not a passion fruit, but I think we might have a cantaloupe here. And I'm just going to tell you my little rinky-dink plastic trellis. I don't think it's got enough. I don't think it's graded for huge. So now I got to figure out what the hell I'm going to do, because I got 3 of these things growing on this thing. So now I got to try to build. What about squash? I don't think I had squash that week. But I don't know. We're not going to know until this damn. I don't know what seed it was. I don't know what seed. I have not had honeydew in this house. That week I had pineapple, because I mixed the pineapple. I might have had the watermelon. I might have had watermelon here, and I might have had seedless watermelon. And the seedless watermelon might have the same looking type of seed, because it's not those thick black seeds. They're more of the flat, translucent seed, which is what I thought we had. That's why I thought it was a cucumber. And then I realized, well, maybe it's a cantaloupe. And so I was waiting for the flowers, and I heard the cantaloupe flowers were white and the cucumber flowers were yellow. Well, this thing is filled with yellow cucumber flowers. I've never eaten honeydew in this house, so I don't believe it's a honeydew. So their only other options at this point for me are cantaloupe and watermelon. But as far as, because I did have squash in the house, but the squash I forgot to cook, and it left in the bag, and I ended up throwing it out in mush. So I don't think it's squash. But did we have squash? I mean, I did have some squash, but it's been forever since we had squash in this house, and there's no way that seedling's come. That seedling's only for about a 4 to 7 day period, because I know my habits. And when I get my sinks are, I fill them up, and once they're filled up and I put them in the dishwasher, I go to scrubbing and I like use a toothbrush, like, cause I have the little, the 2 drain pieces. So I have to pull those out, and it gets the, like when you look in the drain, you have those like thread looking things in the drain. Well, those things get black, and they don't stay silver, and that drives me nuts. It's disgusting. So I stick my toothbrush down there, and I brush between those things, And so it was stuck between the first drain and the second drain, and I'm growing an apple tree from a seed, and lo and behold, I now have 2 trees growing. Well, this poor plant wanted to live, and I thought it was a cucumber, and when the vine started going crazy, I bought a trellis. Well, none of the fruit were popping on, and all my little flowers were falling off, and I'm like, well, shoot. Well, then a huge storm came through, and it broke my vine into 2. So I lost half of my vine, and then all of a sudden, the vine that was left just started, just shooting off with all these little buds, and these were the female ones. You can tell the difference. I mean, it's a huge difference in with the females and the male buds on here. And so I wasn't getting anything. And I thought, okay, well, maybe it's just a dud. Maybe it just wanted to vine out. So I was going to just stick it in the ground and just let it go if it was going to go, and get it out of because right behind it, as you can see right over here behind it, that black, it's not dark. That's the container that it's in. I have a black container. It's just that it's hard for me I don't want to get too close with the weed eater or the lawnmower, because you can see the grass and the vines right there, and I can cut a vine. So I'm just letting kind of the grass grow up around it right now. But at the end of the day, it's starting to, when it was just a little thing, I figured it would start, elongating. Well, it's already grown like twice the size that it was the first time I said, we got cucumber growing. Well, this is much bigger. This one over here is much, much, much bigger. I mean, it fits in the little palm of my hand, and it's not elongating. It's staying round. And I'm like, I don't think this is a cucumber. So I showed my best friend yesterday, because, as you guys know, we have a standing engagement every single Saturday. It's the only time Delilah gets to really run and play with other dogs, like really run, because they roughhouse at her house all the time. She's got a huge house, so they can literally run from one end to the other and just have a great time. And so I ended up showing her, and she's like, girl, I don't think that's a cucumber. I think it would have already started, elongating. She's like, that's round. Like, that's a melon. I'm like, I think that's going to be what is it? A cantaloupe. I think we got cantaloupe. I think we're going to ultimately find out if this is watermelon. I'm going to I don't know what I'm going to do. This is going to be freaking insane in the membrane. I don't know what the hell I have. What the heck did I do? I saved a seedling. I don't know what it is. I thought it was a cucumber. Even when I broke those leaves off and you smell it, it smells like a cucumber. Google says honeydew melon. But I didn't have any honeydew. There's not been honeydew in this house. It has to be. Did I have honeydew? I wonder if they brought me a honeydew instead of a cantaloupe. Maybe I did slice up honeydew. I don't remember having honeydew that week. I need to go through my Walmart order, because I ordered my produce from Walmart. Yay for you, BHB. You're growing something right. It's because I have no clue what I'm doing. It's beginner's luck. Don't let it fool you. It's beginner's luck, okay? I'm just saying. So there is your shocking news for this morning. Personal Betty shocking news, okay? I am shocked, like I said. It's like saying you're having a girl, and then you give birth, and it's like, well, here's your son. And you're like, huh? I got a pink bedroom. What do you mean I have a boy? Okay. I'm just saying, I don't know what I got here, okay? But we got babies. We just don't know. Insane in the membrane. Insane in the brain. Yes. All right. I figured you guys needed a laugh. I figured you guys needed something. Good gracious. Thank you, Miss Sonia. Miss Sonia. Thank you. She's Googling it. She's Google farmer. Miss Google Farmer says it's a honeydew. I don't know what I got. And now at this point, it's been so many weeks. I'm having a hard time remembering what I did. Like when I found the seedling, I remembered without a doubt. Because I was just right, top of mind. But now all of these weeks later, I mean, it's been a lot of weeks. I can't remember now. Now it's like I can almost fantasize anything. Did I have a honeydew? Maybe I did have a honeydew. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, I didn't have a honeydew. I don't know. Guys, this is going to be exciting. We don't know what we're growing, but eventually it's got to show. But I don't know what to do with that because now I got a freaking melon hanging off of a trellis. The damn thing's going to wait out and break off if I don't get something under there to support the darn thing. I don't know what to do. And you can't undo these vines from that trellis. So we're kind of in a territory we have no idea how to even handle. So this is going to take a lot of problem solving for an Betty farmer here. It's not that I'm anti-farming. I just don't know what the hell I'm doing. Okay. I'm just, saying. So if we have any Farmer Johns in the house, and maybe you can give me some farming tips, Bullhorn Betty at gmail.com, like how do we untrellis a freaking melon vine? And I was so proud. I'm like, this thing's going to die if it crawls on the floor. Then, that's why they have cucumber trellises, because they're not supposed to be on the ground. They'll get eaten. So I get this trellis. Well, now this whole vine is just vine through this trellis, and now I find out I have melons. I have melons instead of cucumbers. Like I said, it feels like I've misgendered my my plant. I thought I was having a girl, but I'm having a boy. Oh, golly. Good morning. The amazing BHB and the beautiful beans. The notes are fake. Yes, they are. The notes are fake. I believe the notes are fake. I believe the notes are fake. And you know what? I brought common sense to the conversation, like why we thought the notes were fake. Not just that, there's no ransoms in the United States. Like we went statistics. We went statistical on why we didn't believe the notes were fake. We actually came up with some pretty good receipts that had nothing to do with Nancy Guthrie's case, just statistical receipts that made it next to impossible for this to be a ransom. Betty the farmer. We need a new Betty. We got a machete Betty now. We need Farmer Betty. We got a Farmer Betty. My doll collection. We need to roll out a doll. I bet you a Betty line. I bet you Bullhorn Betty dolls would be a top seller. Right? You got your patriotic Betty. You got your machete Betty. You got your searcher Betty. Your explorer Betty. Your bedhead Betty, your cooking Betty. Have a Jenna reveal so you can put a net around. Oh, net, and hang it that way. Ooh, a net. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea, Sonia. I might, you know what? You're out there in Tennessee. I bet you people in Tennessee know how to grow stuff. You might want to start getting some of your friends together and tell them the story. I do need help. I don't want to kill I don't want to kill this fruit because it's the survival of the fittest growing on the outside of this house, and nobody really knows what this poor little plant has gone through just to survive. And I'm so proud of this plant actually thriving, and to think it's seedling because it got caught in between two drains, and I saw it and I saved it, and now it's a growing something. I don't know what it is. Okay, done with the shocking Betty news. We're done with the shocking Betty news, okay? We don't know whether we're having a boy or a girl, okay, folks? We don't know whether we're having a boy or a girl. I told you guys we're having a girl. I don't think we're having a girl. Actually, I told you we're having a boy, and I think we're having a girl. There we go, because it went from Peter to boobies. So, I don't know. Lord, giving me a high five. Thank you. Thank you, love. Thank you, love. Never believed the notes were real. Good. All right, guys, so let's get on with the case here that we have before us, Miss Nancy Guthrie. Miss Nancy Guthrie, we've got some shocking news there, but I just wanted to know, because I had the funny face here, and I just wanted you guys to know the reason why I put myself in the middle is because the shocking news is about me. Okay, but we do have shocking news. Oh, thank you. Who is that? Lisa? It's small. I can barely see it, but Lisa, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Fill the bucket with soil, set under the fruit. Oh, set a I can do that. And it will have a slow land spot without breaking off. Perfect, Strawberry Nani. It's perfect. That's what I need. Okay, I can do that. I can do that. That's easy enough. And I've got stuff like that all over the house. So, like, all the back. I mean, I've got to go back there and try to find it. And, you know, where my shed used to be that still has all my stuff, but no shed, just weathering out there. Yeah, I've got to pull all that out and get that all gone. That's such a pain in the ass, but anyways, that's the news. So let's get back over here to Miss Nancy Guthrie, which also has some pretty shocking news. Over the last, I would say over the last 72 to 48 hour news cycle, we've had a lot of breaking news, from Savannah releasing a video statement to Chris Nanos going on a media crusade to finally having a media release that was, I have to be honest with you, in all fairness, the media release was more than I would have expected from Chris Nanos thus far. You know, we do have a profile. He released the ransom notes finally. You know, we all got to finally see it for ourselves and truly be informed people. Thank you for the sparkles, Tanya. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. So, I'm really hot damn good morning. I need to say hi to everybody. I haven't even said hi to everybody yet. So let me not get too far here. But at the end of the day, we've had a lot of shocking news that has come out in the last 72 to 48 hours, and especially even more in the last 24 hours, where Chris Nanos has basically interviewed himself for all the information that the news organization hasn't asked about the case, that he thought was important, that he'd like to get out to the public. Very blessed. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And so that kind of is where the story starts. Miss Nancy Guthrie, for those that are new to this channel, she's an 84-year-old grandmother ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman on February 2nd in 2026 and has never been seen or heard again. Many of us in the public, and including her family, especially the statement that we're about to read, just so everybody knows what's in the statement, Miss Savannah Guthrie has basically acknowledged she believes her mom is gone. Okay, she's dead. And that they want her mom solely to put her to rest and to celebrate her life. And this has been a major sticking point for Savannah. You know, that's all she's ever wanted was her mom back. And I think she was well aware very early on that the chances of her mom living and surviving this were not good. With that being said, I think Savannah has been following the steps and procedures that are victims' right people. I don't agree with it. Listen, I don't agree with none of this stuff. I think our government does things to manipulate us and and make us believe that this is the only way that things can be done, when I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe that this is the choice they chose to make, and they have never found any other path outside of this, what I believe causes more insult to the injury than not. And it's their investigation and how they handle their investigation and how they treat the family during that investigation and how little information comes back to the family during that investigation and how they get a victim's right counselor that tells them, oh, well, this is just how things are done, but we're going to counsel you to deal with it, right? And I just think there's a better way. I have always thought there's a better way, but I can't get a whole bunch of arrogant assholes across this country that train these officers to get off their soapbox and actually look at a different way. So that's really the name of it. And I'm going to call them assholes because when some of these trainers that I spoke to are assholes. So I tell you guys how I feel about it very bluntly. And if they don't want to be talked about like that, then maybe they should slow their roll and figure out who they're speaking to before they speak to them deplorably. So just a little food for thought. But at the end of the day, I believe there should be other protocols that are a little more social media era friendly For example, one thing that we learned from the Gonzalez, Steve Gonzalez told us that him and his wife learned about the murder of their daughter by social media, that the government took hours to come and see them, that they already knew their daughter was dead hours before law enforcement notified the family of the deaths. Okay? That's a problem. That is a core function of law enforcement that didn't take their core function of expedience in this era. You see what I'm saying? They didn't take it seriously. And they lollygagged, and they followed their stupid policies and procedures that drug this process out for hours while a family sat there and suffered learning about all of this unfolding on social media. That is unprofessional to me. Yet, our trainers across this country still train our officers to handle business just like that. Things have got to change in our society. There are new technologies, not just for law enforcement, but for news. And that is social media. And that means that when we have news and it's viral, it no longer takes days or weeks to travel. It takes minutes and hours. And it's around this country in minutes and hours. It is an amazing technology. And law enforcement is not equipped to handle it or handle the, some of these cases that have a lot more social media presence in them than not. And I hope that changes over the time. I know that is one thing that the Gonzalez have wanted to change. There's something that has to change. And I hope through their advocacy that at least that aspect of it is truly changed throughout this country. Things have got to get a little quicker when it comes to our law enforcement. And that's all there is to it. Okay, there are some things that need to be taken times with, like investigations, but notification of next of kin has to come quicker. Those cannot be dragged out for hours anymore. I don't care what you guys have to do. I don't care if you need fingerprints, rapid DNA. I don't give a rat's patootie if you need to shock somebody and have somebody go in there and personally identify each and every person. But this nonsense that we've got to go through all of these hoops to let a mommy and daddy know that their child is dead and it takes hours, well, we need to do something a little more about that. I will email it to you what to do. I think it takes strings to hold it up since you ain't got it on the ground. Okay. All right. Well, send me something. I need to figure it out because it's on a trellis and I can't get it off. It's vine through it. So now we're in a pickle where I gotta find out how to keep my fruit from breaking off and perishing because not watermelon leaves. I don't think they're watermelon. I think it's a cantaloupe. That's what I think it is. I don't believe I had a honeydew in this house, but you know what? Now that you're saying a honeydew, I feel like I've ordered a honeydew before. So was it that week or not? I can't remember. I really can't. I think usually when I do my fruit. It's usually cantaloupe, pineapple, and watermelon. Because I feel like the cantaloupe and pineapple are all, you need something in there to make it pop, make the color pop. I don't know. I don't know why I feel like I need to make, I come from a line of people that cook. Okay, we make things pretty. I don't know why. It's a Southern thing, I think. All I know is it doesn't look like it's a cucumber. It's a cucumber. Let's see what we got here. All right, so we have a statement from Miss Savannah Guthrie, as you guys can see. Let me see if I can open this up just a little bit more so we can get her down there. There we go. So Miss Savannah Guthrie put out a statement about her mom, and it was a really good statement. She's, you can tell she's upset, but there are a few things I just don't like, that are very scripted in here for me. Like, right above my head, it says, and there is a determination in us that cannot be quenched. Like, I don't like those statements in letters about missing people. It's a personal thing, so it's a me thing. It's not a she thing. It's a problem I have, right? So you guys know my statement about that. I remove myself, not her to remove herself, right? If I'm the one with the problem, it's my problem to be had, not everybody else's. So what do? The only person I have control over is myself, right? I can't control other people. So at the end of the day, I knew that when I read this statement from her that she was going to have some personal attacks because of it. I mean, you can't, again, I'm going to say this very, very loud and clear. I am not the person that wields out social media. I'm not a powerful person like that. I just know what social media is. I understand it completely, and I don't take it for granted. And I understand its very, very, very strong powers. And the one thing that I absolutely wish people would stop doing is attacking social media. It never helps. It never helps. It changes the direction of the conversation, and you will never win, even if you're a victim of a terrible crime. Don't attack social media. It's the worst thing a politician can do. It's the worst thing a news person can do. It's the worst thing a victim can do. You do not attack social media. Why? Because there's a lot of unhinged people on social media. Can you stop the unhinged people on social media? The answer is a big fat no. Okay, no, you can't. But there's a lot of unhinged people on here. And there's a lot of people that, take what we say and go an extra mile, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. And we're going to continue to talk, and people are going to have to learn more self-control. And that's just all there is to it. This world needs more self-control and needs more understanding and needs to be shown more grace, Like, I do a lot of stuff, and, people sometimes think I'm Superwoman or don't realize how much I truly do and think I'm this, or I should do this or this or this or this. And it gets frustrating, right? It gets frustrating. But at the end of the day, one thing I have learned over the years is don't attack social media. That's why I attack very, very, there's different cliques on this platform. That's why you always see me target the problem clique, not social media in general, okay? But people that aren't in social media don't understand the cliques, don't understand the groups. There are a lot of niches in social media, okay? Even in true crime. Like, you got the freaking hate channels that do nothing but stir up drama in these cases. For example, like Ted's Investigate. He's getting harassed by somebody. Is it Nerdy and his disgusting chick? I don't know. I don't know if it's them, okay? But could it be? Yes, it could be. Yes, it could be. Are these things that I've seen or heard Nerdy do in the past? Yes, they are. But does it mean that he's the one doing it? No, but these are people out there. These are the drama and hate channels that are now doing this stuff, creating this stuff while he's live, or knowing that he's going to speak about them so they can then talk about it. So they create their own news by harassing somebody. That's how sick these people are. And it is a crime to do that. I just want to let you know that it is a crime. You cannot do that. And it's a federal crime. Because you're using internet, you're using telephone to deliver pizza to him. That makes it a federal crime. I just want to make sure that you guys understand. And we had a major legal battle with the hate channels. Like, the hate channels started encroaching on true crime so much that they were literally sending out clowns to a little boy's gathering of voices where a sheriff would not arrest a mother that murdered her child. And they sent a clown out there. A clown to desecrate a 20-month-old child. A 20-month-old child's gathering of voices and people pushing back on a government to arrest a murderous mother that murdered her son, her 20-month-old son, and had abused him since the day he came out of her. And those pigs try to protect that family. And I call them out each and every day because I will for the day until the day that this channel is taken down. Those were people like Queen Bee, people like that savage media bullcrap, people like No Nonsense, supporting stuff like that. All of those people that you hear out there right now fighting amongst each other were all part of this disgusting clique of people. Now, are they still doing the same stuff? Are they still doing the same stuff, and now they're targeting other people? I told you, once they let off me, they're going to have no other choice but to start going after other people. So I have made it my mission to expose how disgusting these hate channels are and how these criminal parents that do crimes against their children are sucked into these hate channels that are filled with felons and violent criminals to start attacking good reporting because we're attacking the shitty parents and for what all they've done. And they go to people like Queen Bee and Chlamydia, and at the time Burnt Toast that's been tossed off this platform, and WB, right? And then that piece of shit Nerdy and his freaking cracked out bride, wannabe, allegedly and in my opinion to keep myself in the good graces of the law and legal departments, want to do all these terrible things. These people are criminals, they're felons, and many of them are active junkies. That means they're actively utilizing substances that go well beyond Mary Jane and a little, alcohol. She's a freaking pig. She's a freaking pig. And if Sinner has anything that he'd like to tell me about her that she's done that I never brought up in a lawsuit, I'm happy to go after her again. I'm not going to be happy until I get all of these animals off this or their platforms deemed so bad that YouTube has no choice but to look at them. It's one thing to have your freedom of speech. It's another thing to start using that freedom of speech to commit crimes and harassing people and using phones and computers to do that harassment, making it a federal crime. And I believe they're using Discord, the same platforms that like to prey on children because they're predators. And so these predators use predatory programs to handle their business. Just to throw that out there. So whatever's going on with those people, it's from these hate channels. And the hate channels know. I will never, ever, ever stop talking about them. And if they ever do what they did to me before, I will definitely be taking them to court. I will be definitely dragging them through court for years. I will never take another person I'm going to take them out. So you come after Bullhorn Betty or my mods, I'm coming after you. And I think I proved that to the world. And I hope Ted starts stepping up and doing that. He doesn't deserve that. He's got a child in the house. Like, how dare you? How dare you? And people are doing this? That's disgusting. So if you find out if you hear any news, if people want to brag about it behind the scenes, turn them in. Turn them in. Report them. Capture those. If you don't want to be the one, capture all that evidence and turn it over to Ted or turn it over to somebody like JLR or somebody that will actually do something about it. And if you want to, turn it over to Bullhorn Betty, because I will absolutely do something about it. I do have no respect for these hate channels that create that sow chaos throughout these true crime cases, as if these cases need any more chaos in them. Look at the Nancy Guthrie case. It's a chaotic mess all on its own. You do not need a hate channel bullshit in this case. You just don't. You just don't. And I wish they would get a clue that that's not how you conduct yourself. No, White, we're not. We will never be good. That lady has never called me and apologized to me for what she has done to me. There will never be a path forward until she tells me what all happened and the truth. Ever. I want the truth. And until she's ready to tell me the truth, I got no time for her. The shit she's done to me behind the scenes. I remember a lady, I was just at a luncheon, and there was this lady, her name is, what the fuck is her name? Donna Hayes. Old lady used to be a commissioner, wrecked her car. She ended up getting thrown off, had ethic violations for leaving the scene of an accident. I think she's a drunk. I don't know if she's a drunk or just not all upstairs, but one of the two. Again, allegedly and in my opinion. And she goes to try to sit next to me. She's like, is this seat taken? And I'm like, no, but I wouldn't sit there. And she's like, why? I said, well, because I'm Andrew Griffin, and you've tried to get me thrown out of the GOP, so I'd take your ass any other place but here. She's like, well, I don't hold grudges. And I said, well, that's kind of funny because I do. Have a great day, ma'am. That's how I fight with people. You don't see me getting loud. If I get loud, it's because I want to be loud. I can be an asshole and be very polite. Thank you. Have a great day. And she walked over to another table. And then I had another lady sit down, which wasn't good. You don't want none. But Savannah wrote this about her mom, and it was good, you know. I mean, I feel for her. I have a lot of sympathy and empathy specifically for Savannah Guthrie. Do I believe that she's possibly in denial about a lot of things? Let me ask you guys this. How many people do we have in chat right now? Let me go over here. Oh, wow, we got 360, well, it just says 364. Went from 369 to 364. So if you guys are in the chat right now, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. We thrive on a thumb up button. And I'd like to be, my goal is really 1,000 thumbs up per show. As you guys can see, for the last year, we have not even met that. I think we've met 1,000 thumbs up for a show maybe 2 or 3 times. So anything that you guys can do to help increase those thumbs up, I'd greatly appreciate it. I do work very hard for you guys. But over and above that, how many of you guys feel that Savannah Guthrie is in denial? If you believe Savannah Guthrie is in denial about this case, please raise your hand. And I'm not going to ask you what you feel she's in denial about. I think anybody's opinion that she's in denial is really the question, not specificity of what she's in denial about. But do you believe, at least in part, she's in denial? You know? I'll give you guys a few minutes. I need to get some more coffee anyways. Okay. So I'm not alone in that factor. Like, we feel like, you know, there's something going on here, you know, and I don't know if it's the family, but I know Chris Nanos has emphatically said the family is cleared on more than one occasion. So law enforcement is not looking at the family. I'm not wasting the time looking at the family at this point, but I did want to gauge you. Okay, so we do have a lot of people that believe she's in denial. I do too. I think she's in denial. I don't know, you know, I feel like she's in denial about a lot of things. But I was watching The Deception Detective, and I don't know why he hasn't come up in my searches in a really long time, too. And it looks like he's been getting great viewership on his topics with Nancy Guthrie. But he was just saying that he feels like Miss Savannah Guthrie and the sheriff are in complete denial about, you know, the potential of the family's involvement. And, you know, there's a piece of me in my mind, body, and soul that tells me that if they've cleared the family, there's a reason why they've cleared the family, you know. No matter how I feel and how disrespectful I speak about Chris Nanos, which I will because I think he's a bad cop. And that's never going to change because he's a bad cop. But at the end of the day, I don't believe they're going to... I feel like he was pressured to clear them, in all fairness. I do feel like there was some type of pressure campaign behind the scenes to clear the Guthrie family, because he came out and cleared them so quickly, but refuses to clear anybody else in the family. And that tells me right there that it's pressure. That there's no way, because normal people don't clear people. So somebody pushed the victim's rights on him, and he probably threatened to sue him under victim's rights or something to that effect. I don't know. I'm assuming, and my assumptions don't make a hill of beans. They could be right. They could be wrong. They could be mostly right. They could be mostly wrong. I don't know. You know, they're just assessments. But I do feel. Let me ask you guys this: do you guys feel that he was pressured? I think we do have enough. I think we have enough receipts that we could support. There were some type of pressures behind the scene, including that first that first interview or that first press conference. Let me see here. Do we have a first press conference? Hold on. My lips might get unsynced while I'm searching, and I apologize. First, if I can spell first right. Guthrie press conference. I want to see the whole one. I want to see the whole video because in the whole video, this is it right here. This is it. Is this the one from, that's from the 5th. I don't want that one. I want the one from the 6th. The 2nd. Can I do tools? Let's do February 2nd time. Custom range. I want mine to be February 2nd. February 2nd. Go. So I have an advanced time of February 2nd, and I've got no February 2nd. Make that make sense. Okay, let's go down here. So we got this one for the full press conference, I think. That's it. Sorry, I'm trying to see if there's any other. I need to see the full press conference, and it's very important that we see the full press conference because he says something at the beginning of that press conference that's super important. February 3rd. I want the February 2nd, the full February 2nd. I'm not getting it. Okay, so let me go up here and open that one up. I pray it is, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is. This is not the one I'm looking for. I need the very beginning of it. I'm going to pause it while it thinks and comes up that way because some of this stuff takes...
We'll get started. I believe it was around noon yesterday. We got a call to the Guthrie.
See, it was when he walked up to this, and I'm pretty sure it's this one. Let me see if it's on the... Maybe it might be the 3rd. Let me see if we got the 3rd. But he says... I'm going over talking points with the family. That's why it's so important that I find that variation of the news report, because that was, let me see if it's this one here, but I don't think it is. It was the 2nd. I need the one where I'm seeing him walk up like this, where he Okay, so like this, where he's walking up to the podium to start. This is the one like I need. Maybe it's this one.
We need another mic check for everyone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check. Sibilance. We're turning it up to 11 for this press conference.
Okay, maybe it's this one. Let's see. This is the 3rd. I thought it was the first one. I could have sworn it's the first one. Let me hear what it says.
Good morning. I don't know that.
Yeah, this is not it. So it was the very first one. We need to find the very, very, very first one in its totality. We need to find the first one in its totality. Because that's the one who was out there. Let's see. Nancy Guthrie. Let's just do this. Nancy Guthrie. Press conference. Let me see if I can just do Nancy Guthrie press conference and then do this, the time. The custom time range. Let's see if that might work a little better. And it doesn't. So even when I give it the criteria I need and tell it the specific date I need it to search, it won't even search the date. Okay, great. Appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's for sure. Let's see if I can get this tool. During time. Custom range. If anybody finds the original, this is it. Okay, let me save this one. Let me make sure that, hold on, let me cancel that. Cancel. Let me make sure this is the second, not the third. He's walking up to, yes, this is it. Okay, let me save this one. Remove. Okay, and then we're gonna save. And this is the 2/2/26 press conference. Okay, we'll save that. All right, this is the one I want to show you guys. Let's listen to this. I think we got enough evidence to show that the family has had pressure in this case. Look at him, look at his phone. Listen to what he says. See how he's looking at his phone? He's looking at his phone. And you guys notice the other local media cut all of this out, which again, just ticks me off. Why would you cut portions of this press conference out? Because it doesn't look good? Because it shows that the family's been involved with what's been coming out of the sheriff's mouth since literally the beginning of this case? Somebody has been counseling, somebody from the Guthrie family has been counseling this sheriff on how to handle speaking about this case. So listen. And I think this proves it. The proof's in the pudding.
I'm going through some talking points for the family. I want to make sure I cover them. I'm not somebody who does well with the script.
So the family wanted him to be scripted. The family wanted him to be scripted. They were literally on his phone, texting him, telling him how to handle this press conference. Poor Nanos porch swing. What did the fake ransom notes say? I couldn't find anyone reading them, just part of them. Oh, okay, well, I'll read both of them in just a few moments. I'll read both of them. Looking at his facial expression, wow, it figures. Yeah, he literally says he's saying Guthrie family's talking. Yes, that's what I'm saying. And that's why I said you need to find the full 2/2 press conference to hear this aspect of it. And you guys seen how long it took me just to find a true copy of this section. Everybody cut this section out of their reporting except K-Gun. K-G-U-N. They were the only ones that kept this in here. So there's not even a whole lot of people at that has produced or are able to find this 2/2 press conference. So I'm hoping that they relabel them for the appropriate words so people can find these things. I'm saving them to the Guthrie case. I have a Guthrie case file on my Google Chrome account. And so I save all these articles, so that's how I'm able to find them so quickly. And sometimes I forget when a case is moving at a mile a minute. I forget to set all this stuff up at the beginning of the case, and then I lose some stuff fake from the start. I think there's some things to be had about how much involvement this family has had at the beginning of this case in directing the speech about this very case. And here's just a prime example. This is the February 2nd. This is the very first press conference that Chris Nanos was about to talk about the Guthrie family, and the Guthrie family is trying to counsel him on how to do his job. The Guthrie family. He was going over the Guthrie's talking points. And they know he doesn't do well with scripts, he said. They sent him a flippin' script, it sounds like. Isn't it? That's what I got out of it. Did the Guthrie family send Chris Nanos a script to talk about their mother's case? And if that's the case, That is highly unusual and very, very, very concerning. Very concerning. So let's get back to the show. We went on a kind of a tangent, but I wanted you guys to see that. So we have this letter. I will read it because I feel like maybe there might be somebody that hasn't heard this letter read. So I'll read it to you so you all have a understanding of what Miss Savannah Guthrie said on the 6-month milestone. Now, I will tell you there is a sentence in here that's kind of upset a lot of people on social media. And when I read it the first time, I said, oh my gosh, she's going to get some backlash for this. And I was right. This is our beautiful mother. Excuse me, this is our beautiful mom. 6 months ago, someone took her out of her bed in the dead of night. We have lived every moment, every breath, and every heartbeat in agony and despair ever since. Every day we wake up and try to be strong and go on because that's what our joyful, resilient mom taught us to do. But make no mistake, our hearts are in ruins. Cam and Christine, Annie and Tommy, Mike and me, we spent every waking moment thinking of her. I believe they do. And longing for her. I believe they do. Looking for her, on the other hand, that's where a lot of people on social media have questions. There is a hole inside of us that can never be filled, and I believe that. There is an ache that cannot be softened. There is a determination in us that cannot be quenched. To find out what happened to her so that we can give her dignity of a proper goodbye, a celebration of her remarkable life that she so deserves. We are begging for help. We are desperate. We need someone to come forward. Someone knows something. Someone suspects something. Someone recognizes in writing, in the ransom demand notes. No, they don't, because I believe AI helped create them. Someone has noticed something different, strange, or troubling, just unusual perhaps, in someone that they deeply love. That might be true, and I do believe that would be true. A mom, a girlfriend, a baby's mama, a friend, maybe even the oh shit factor might even be prevalent in this case. Perhaps they are afraid to come forward. Perhaps they are conflicted. Perhaps they are angry or upset for being in this situation. There is a way out. To tell what you know. You can do so anonymously. The reward is available. There is a way to end this situation and do the right thing. We are real people, facing real grief, doing the best we can, and counting our many blessings along the way. Most especially the prayers and love from good people, which we feel deeply. We need your prayers. We need your kindness. We need good to be stronger than evil. If you are following this story for entertainment or for profit, you are not on her side. You are part of the harm perpetrated against her. So I guess she's speaking about NBC. They have profited a lot off misery of others, including hers. We will never stop looking for answers, and we will never stop looking for the light. We will always be hoping and praying and believing in the best of our world in spite of circumstance. This is what our faith makes possible. Please bring her home. Did this help? I don't think so. Because, I mean, let's face it. Even if the person did this because of Nancy Guthrie or Savannah Guthrie, they want to see her in pain. And her constantly coming out here and telling the world how much agony she's in. She's talking about herself and her family. She's not talking about her mother. What information did she put through here? This is a feel-good, make me feel better. I'm sorry, guys. We have to analyze this properly. And I can have empathy and sympathy for a person that has lost their mother while also holding them accountable. Okay? And at the end of the day, what did we just read? We read about her and her feelings and her family. What information did we get about her mom, which this whole letter should have been about? right? Let's go over some of the statements she said. Every day we wake up, we try to be strong because that's what our joyful, resilient mom taught us to do. But make no mistake, it's our heart in ruin. Us, we. They're not talking about what could have happened to their mother. They're not talking about the concern that they have, the urgency they need to bring her home. She's losing support. I believe it. I believe she's losing everything right now, and she's going to probably be losing her job as well. I can't imagine what this has to be like, or what her future, holds for her and her family. But I can tell you that when we saw Chris and Katie Proudfoot exhibit these same behaviors, we paid attention to those very, very clearly. But this was all about them. This had very little to truly do about their mother. This was more of, when I look at things like Chris and Katie, why were they giving interviews? Remember? I said, why were they giving interviews? Were they giving interviews to provide more insight into Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers? Or was this another, campaign against why the world should believe their story? And we always came back to, why should the world believe their story, as opposed to them really going on there to talk about the missing child? And again, I'm reading this statement, and very little has to do with Nancy Guthrie and everything to do with her and her family, her and her living family, and what they're feeling and going through. And it's all about them and their pain and their heartache, not their moms, them. In my opinion, the profiting was a jab at the YouTubers. Of course it was. And that's why I said something. Because how dare her? How dare her? Out of everybody, of all the cases we cover, of all people to make a statement like that, how dare her? Again, disappointed, and unnecessarily, and she unnecessarily created chaos in her own mother's case once again. Why does she keep trying to create chaos in her mom's case instead of, trying to? She's talking about Betty. Come on, Cap. Come on, Cap! Juju, it's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. Good morning. Exactly. So disappointing is right. I think that's the best way to do it, because I don't want to attack. I know there's people kind of going for her gut jugular. I don't want to attack this lady. I've got no beef with her. I feel bad for her. I'm not going to lie. I do. My heart breaks for her and her family. But there's definitely something that doesn't add up. And I feel that there's a lot of control and manipulation being done by the Guthrie family, whether it's trying to salvage their own reputation. But who gives a shit at this point, Savannah? It has to do with your mama, not you. I would have really preferred to have a letter that was about their mother. This was not. It fell short. It just fell short. And I can be honest about that and still say, you know what, I feel bad for Savannah. But we're not going to lie. We're not her friends here in the media, okay? We're here to bring the truth, okay? And sometimes this truth hurts. And that's just the reality of life. And people need to learn to live with it, unfortunately. Chris Nanos has provided a statement here about the things, obviously, he did not like. Truth Seeker Girl, good morning. The interview room has criticizing Nanos from reading from a script given by Guthrie's. Nanos even says, I'm not good with the scripts. Yep. That's exactly what we were just talking about, Truth Seeker. Absolutely, 100%. I really wish I could express how I feel about the whole situation with Savannah Guthrie. I agree, Betty. She has created an atmosphere of chaos every time she opens her mouth. And that's the problem, and when you're trying to advocate for your mother and you're trying to minimize the wrath of some people, poking at them, poking the bear is not a good path forward. And this is not how we advocate properly for a missing person. I'm really disappointed in the behavior of this so-called, journalist professional, one that was an Emmy award-winning journalist, and she's acting like this. I mean, I have a problem with her behavior. I have a problem with her words on a career that she has done the exact same thing to other families. Oh, but I was nice. No, you weren't. You tell me how nice you were about a father hurting their child. Tell me how you ran that story. Lady, I just wouldn't. I really just wouldn't. And it's unnecessary. It's just unnecessary. So hopefully Savannah understands she can't keep attacking social media. You know, I can go both ways with this. I can go, you know, I could go scorch earth on her, or I can show empathy and sympathy. I'm choosing to look at her as a victim and, you know, not want to rock the boat, but need to be heard on certain things, right? I don't want to attack her, but I also want to make sure my audience understands that I don't agree with her and I don't agree with some of these posts, but it's not about me, right? This is her. I have no control over her. We only have control over ourselves. But, you know, I just want to remind everybody, she's hurting. Her brain, I've been talking to you guys about how her brain's not, you know, firing on all cylinders as is, right? Because she's under so much stress. So I want you guys, even with all of this, to please show this lady a little bit of grace. She didn't kill her mom, okay? She has nothing to do with the kidnapping of her mom. There is not one professional. Now, there's a lot of professionals out there that are back and forth with their family, but I think the consensus when it comes to Savannah Guthrie is Savannah Guthrie had nothing to do with her mom. So we know for a fact that Savannah Guthrie is truly a victim of this crime too, okay? And sometimes victims of crimes are assholes. They're angry, and they want to go after everybody's head, okay? Just some people are like that. Some people are like this, where they're more docile, but want to make sure that they're heard, and basically the people they don't like to hear the F you, right? And I'm just saying that if she wants the problems to subside, you don't constantly keep poking the bear. And I feel like she's constantly keep poking the bear because, again, every time they come up with a statement, it's about them, not their mom. And I think people are starting to see that. We're starting to, you know, we do this every single day. We're not NBC. We're the true crime community of YouTube and social media. Okay? There's a big difference here. And we don't believe anybody. Okay? We're very skeptical of everybody. We scrutinize everybody. You say one thing, you better have the receipts to back it up because we trust no one. We trust no one. We've learned not to trust anyone. So I feel bad for her. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that every time she opens her mouth, she attacks social media. That's never going to be a winning case. And I will tell you, social media in the long run will, whether you're a victim of a crime or not, they will destroy your reputation. I'm not getting personally involved with it. I don't hear her attacks to me personally. I don't know the lady. I haven't been out there, but if I choose to go out there, I'm still not listening to her attacks to me. They mean nothing to me. Okay? I don't take them personally. I take them as a angry woman that's gone through a lot, that's stressed out, and it is what it is. I still conduct my business the way I conduct my business, whether people like it or not. It just is what it is. And many other people do as well. So the statements don't really faze me, you know, but it is upsetting that she shows her time this way, because everything she tells about her mom is that she's a loving, caring person. So I guess the people, whether you agree with them or not, they're keeping your mom's name out there. She picked the fight with Alex. Alex didn't pick the fight with her. She doesn't like him because he's a big dude with tattoos all over his face, right? So she's judgmental on top of it. But let's just call the spade a spade. She picked the fight with Alex, right? If you guys don't know who that was for, I think that was for Alex. Of all people, I don't think it's for everybody. I think it was directed at Alex. Alex has been a very vocal person that has basically told her, you haven't done shit for your mom publicly, and has included her in those posts, tagged her in those posts. So I absolutely know for a fact that that if you guys want to know who that was referring to, I think that was referring to solely Alex. And I truly do believe Alex needs to sue her. Because had it not been for her pressure, he would have never been unlawfully arrested. And they're still going after his resisting arrest charge. And I'm sorry, You had no rights to even put your fucking hands on him. Chris Nanos, criminal sheriff, that thinks you have a right to put your hands on anybody that disagrees with you. I will never fight an officer, but I definitely would love this man to put his hands on me. And I would never fight him. But I would know as soon as they put their hands on me, I'll be thinking of, you know, where should you be depositing the check? Where should you be depositing the check? Because there's real consequences for violating people's rights. There's financial consequences to that. So let's get over here. Why do experts doubt the ransom notes, right? Why do I doubt the ransom notes? I doubt the ransom notes because they defy ransom logic. Let's listen to this.
Is in agony.
It's now been 6 months since Nancy Guthrie vanished.
We have a duty and responsibility to protect that case and its integrity.
Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos says they've collected a lot of evidence he wishes he could share publicly to help instill trust in this investigation. What he has shared are these ransom notes.
That person didn't have anything to do with the kidnapping.
Forensic linguist Bootsy Martinez says the author speaks generally and passively in the first note, with few details to prove they have true knowledge of Nancy's condition. We have your mother, Nancy. She is safe but scared. She will be held for ransom, and once payment is received, she will be released unharmed. If payment is not received, she will be killed.
The author is removed from the situation. If you notice, there's only one mention of we. There's no I in there.
The second note came days later. We did not fully grasp the seriousness of her physical condition. We never intended to hurt her. She perished shortly after she was taken. We are truly sorry.
What crowns the second note is that the indication there's nothing you could have done. That's an acknowledgement that the first note was fake, right? Even if you had sent the money, there was nothing you could have done because she had already passed away.
Oh, wow, exactly what I said. And I'm not a linguistic expert. Maybe it's because we watch so much freaking true crime. We've got this. We're seasoned.
If you had sent the money, there was nothing you could have done because she had already passed away.
Martinez believes there's a chance the same person may be behind both notes, and whoever it is, it's worth finding them.
I believe that the writing indicates that the author is a person with some education, probably a Caucasian male.
That's based on the writing.
I don't believe Caucasian. I believe it's overseas. But hey, maybe it is somebody from America.
Style, syntax, and errors. Martinez says, at the end of the day, whether the author took Nancy or knows who did, they committed a crime, trying to cash in on a tragic kidnapping.
So another extortion attempt, which is what we have been maintaining for some time related to this case. We've been trying to keep we don't like you guys getting all down into the weeds and stuff like that when you don't need to. It's a waste of time when we need to be focusing on realistic information. And so I try to keep you guys on track because I find that when we're all on track, we do better as a community in getting information out, factual information out, not clouding the news cycles with bullcrap, and we get more consistent, accurate reporting from our content creators here on social media. It's very, very important. Very, very important. Oh, cuss bug. Oh, shoot. I have been cussing. Oh, no. See, stuff rolls out of my mouth. I don't mean for it to roll out of my mouth. I got to get better with it. We're doing flock. Doing flock. I didn't do any F-bombs this morning, did I? I hope I didn't. Sometimes this stuff, am I the only person, like, when I talk, like, things just fall out of, I'm such a sailor that I don't even hear myself cuss anymore. Am I the only one? Does anybody else like that? Is anybody else like that? I gotta start training myself better. Because at some point they're going to start, if they got regulations on TV, at some point they're going to start regulating our speech. on these platforms. I mean, they already do, but even more so. At least we can, flock the seagulls. Flock bomb number 2. Well, thank you. What the flock? We ain't flocking around. Flock around and find out. There's a new one. Flock around and find out. You know what? That's probably what we need for our campaign shirts. Hold up, Sonia. I might have some business for you. I'm going to talk to our people. I'm going to talk to our people here and see a flock around and find out. That's what we need to be. That's what we need to bring into our county meetings. Sit tight, Sonia. Sit tight. I might have some business. English is not TC's first language. Tommaso Sione's. That's correct. You're right. It is not his first language. I wonder if it could be somebody. They're saying this lady believes that it was a. But Betty, I'm dripping into my savings. I bet you are. It's because I don't know I'm doing it. It gets expensive when you don't realize. Like every time you got to pay $5 to say this word, and you start rolling that in. Anyways, that's funny. She isn't nice, not even to Annie. Annie don't exactly like her. She's a snooty heifer. Maybe not. I don't know. Seems like her sister loves going and hanging out with her at different places and stuff like that. So now we get back to Pat Brown. Pat Brown also confirms that these ransom notes are, hogwash, so to speak. Let's go back to the beginning of her assessment of this. She goes in, another one that started attacking social media. Mind you, she's now on social media. Maybe she forgets she's on social media. But I'm just going to tell people, please, okay? Stop attacking social media. Good morning. Good morning, Seth. It's nice to see you. I hope you're having a cup of coffee. I hope everybody's drier than we are. Oh, I got to tell you, shocking information, Seth. Shocking information. We're not having a boy. We're having a girl. We're not having a boy. We're having a girl. There it is. I thought it was a cucumber. Doesn't look like much of a cucumber to me. That's kind of like a... It went from a Peter to a booby. So I think we got melons. I think we got melons. I don't know. Whether it's a cantaloupe, a honeydew, a watermelon, I don't know. But I think it's official. My cucumber is no longer a cucumber. So if you just want to I thought I'd let you know. And you can hear the raining. Like, this thing just keeps growing. Like, every day I go out there and it's twice as big as the day before. So I've got to figure something out and putting something under this, because that vine is only going to be, these types of plants are supposed to be on the ground. So now I've got a freaking trellis. The vine's all intertwined in the trellis, as you can see. And now I'm finding out I got melons. So now I got to figure out how to support the melon for it to grow while on a trellis so it doesn't break off. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. A bouncing baby melon. Yep, we have a melon. Uh-oh. You know what? I wonder if it's the same melon that was on the porch guy. We talk about his melon all the time. We'll see. We'll see if the porch guy and Betty kind of had some shenanigans here. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. We need to stop. We need to stop. Okay, so I just thought I'd fill Seth in on the shocking news, the shocking Bullhorn Betty news. The shocking Bullhorn Betty news. So, 4 posts and chicken wires. I guess we're going to have to figure out something. I got some concrete stuff over here. Maybe I'll put some felt on it or something. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then somebody said a bucket with some dirt in it. So I'll figure it out. But we definitely got a melon. And I got 3 other ones growing on that side too. So I'm going to have to figure something out. Maybe I'll have to go and get some dollar buckets from the dollar store, and then just get a big bag of some soil, some potting soil. A bra. I know we're gonna have to get ourselves a little bra. A little melon bra. All right, so this is Pat Brown. She was well known. She's a profiler that we all got to know on Fox News and CNN, and way back when true crime was just, real true crime was just making its ways on our TVs. We were having the explosion of America's Most Wanted, the First 48, Forensic Files. Like, these were some really hot-hitting TV shows, real TV shows. The first of, these types of realistic, not scripted TV shows that were starting to debut back in the 90s and, just early to mid 90s, and started flourishing in the early 2000s. Well, more than two is definitely a problem, Betty. Yeah. So she has good experience, and she was well known because she helped a lot of law enforcement across the country. She even, I want to say she even got her own show, or was speaking and going on all these, TV, the talk shows. We had a lot of talk shows back in there. The talk shows are we have a few talk shows out there anymore, but all the talk show type stuff is kind of died out a little bit. I mean, people still watch a few of them, but most of them have kind of died out. At the end of the day, that's when she was really well known. So she's coming on social media. She just spent how many minutes dogging social media? Spent almost 8.5 minutes dogging social media and content creators before we start getting into the actual addressing of the ransom notes. So this is when she starts addressing the ransom notes. And I don't want to dog anybody. I'm just not going to start pointing out that everybody that wants to be on social media but dogs social media. One thing I don't do is I respect social media. So I dog the people that make social media miserable, like the hate channels, okay? I don't paint social media with a broad brush. So every time she says a content creator or a so-called journalist or people using that kind of word, it really diminishes. I'm a college-educated person, okay? I've drafted pleadings for courts. I don't want to be put down where the junkies are on these platforms. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I've done a lot more with my life. As crazy as my life may have been at some point in my life, I've worked a lot harder, and I'm not them, okay? Them will never change, okay? We here believe in change. We believe in putting our best foot forward. We believe in, if you have had a walk, so what? What you want to do about it now, right? Do you want that walk to take you down, or do you want that walk to lift you up? You can go either way. You are at a crossroad.
So now that we have them, let's take a look at them. All right. So we have this first one, which is the one that asked for the money. Hello, Savannah, we have your mother, Nancy. She is safe but scared. She will be held for ransom, and once payment is received, will be released unharmed. We will be holding her for a maximum of 7 days. You will need to send Bitcoin in the amount of 4 million USD before 5 p.m. on Thursday the 5th. If payment is not received, the ransom will be increased to 6 million USD, which will need to be paid by 5 p.m. on Monday the 9th. I just want to stop there. Okay, we're going to increase it 1 million if you don't get it done in time. That is just not a professional ransom person. I mean, a professional kidnapper. You give a date, you give an amount, and then that's it. Let's see. Once payment is received to the Bitcoin address below, she will be released within 12 hours of deposit to a safe drop off location back in Tucson. I find back in Tucson interesting because they're indicating she's not in Tucson at that point in time. If payment is not received by the last deadline on Monday the 9th at 5 p.m., she will be killed. Your mother is aware of this, and her life is in your hands. It is in the best interest of everyone to have this completed as soon as possible. In the best interest of everyone. That's a nice way to say that. All right. You will not be able to contact me from here on out. There will be no negotiation. Okay, but you already negotiated like 2 different dates to give the ransom. Do not play games. Law enforcement will not be able to help you. All right. That's the first one. And I want to talk about that before we get to the second one. So they put this out here for the purposes, law enforcement, that somebody might recognize the style of writing. And I'm going to tell you, nobody's going to recognize the style of writing. Why do I say this? Because I don't believe that's the style of writing that the person normally uses.
I just want to stop here. We're going to hear the rest of Miss Pat Brown. I just want to tell you guys, as much, and again, maybe this is tooting my own horn, and maybe I shouldn't, but when we need to differentiate ourselves from mainstream media and the crackpots on these social media platforms, I think it's important to stop and let you guys know that what Miss Brown is about to tell you here for the first time is something that I have been telling you guys or expressing to you guys and trying to educate you guys for the last several months, at least 2 to 3 months now, about these ransom notes and why we have a problem with them, even with the trickle of information that came down. And I even had to use AI to understand, because there were so many little bits and pieces of these ransom notes coming out, we couldn't figure out what are they saying specifically came from ransom note 1 and what specifically came from ransom note 2. So I actually had AI take all of the reportings of all of these ransom notes and consistently give me what was in ransom note 1 and what was in ransom note 2, and I gave that stuff to you. And it was almost the full ransom note. Not quite, but it was almost. It was enough that we could now determine what we didn't have in the ransom notes was specificity on whether they truly identified our clothing. We knew that the Apple Watch was somewhere in the ransom note, but we didn't know in what capacity or with what specificity. We finally got to see that so those things were unknown to us. But now that I got to see them, I think it supports that these were phony from the very beginning. And that's what we have been trying to. And we do, there are people that get upset with us when we don't entertain things. But when I get to a point where I know that something is not accurate, I'm not going to entertain that they are. Okay? That's not how I do that over here on this platform. Okay? If we know it, we're not going to waste our audience time. Yeah, could we get clicks and views of going down this rabbit hole and making extra money that people want to hear? Yes, we could. Okay, of course we could. We choose not to. Why? Because we know it's not going to be something that leads you forward. So we try to give you the information that leads you forward, the best information, the most accurate information, not bull. Just saying. So everything you've heard coming out of Miss Pat Brown's mouth, now you've heard out of Betty's for weeks.
I believe it went through something like Google Translate or just AI of some sort, like change whatever I'm putting in here to something different. So I cannot be recognized. It's a pretty simple thing to do. And if this person is already on the internet and asking for Bitcoin, I'm pretty sure that they know how to change their style of writing. So who would be behind changing their style of writing? So let's look at this just for the sake of it. And one of the things I want to point out is when you are investigating a case, you will look at different possibilities. It doesn't mean they're legitimate. Just that you might see one thing that stands out and you go, what about that? So because you're a good investigator, you will investigate it. But unlike people on the internet who take one thing and say, oh my God, therefore we must go after this particular person or this particular community, that is unacceptable. And people do not seem to understand that. So if you're taking a look at this, I'm going to give you just 3 examples I'll give you 4 examples of possibilities. All right. One possibility is that the person doesn't speak regular English, that they come from another country originally.
I told you my indications early on, and I've said this for months, okay? I don't even know how many months, but definitely for months, that I believe that the authors are from Vietnam. And people have pushed back on that a little bit, but some people haven't because they know. And I got a report, and I don't remember where the report is. I didn't save it. I got a report, and it was early in the case, like early in the case. And it was right after we found out about the first one, maybe the second ransom note at the time. Maybe we were to the third ransom note. I can't be for sure. But I remember I got a report that they believed it was coming from overseas. Now, I, again, don't know if that's accurate or not. It's just what I received, so I can't say that that's a factual information. I can only say, do not put in soil. You have melon hangers coming tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you. We got some melon hangers. We got a bra for the boobies, baby. We got a bra for the boobies. We're putting them in a sling. Yay. And they're just going to keep growing because we got so much freaking rain right now. And those little melons are just sucking. It's only in a 10-gallon, thing. I only got a 10-gallon container for the soil. And I'm like, is that going to be enough to keep them live? That many melons? I might have to stick it in the ground in order to get enough water and nutrients for it to continue. But I don't want it in the middle of it thriving. I don't want to transplant it. It's gonna do some. But we got a bra for the boobies. We got a bra for the boobies, the melons.
Unfortunately, and that their English would be unique. Or, for example, I work with the deaf community. If somebody writes stuff now many people who are deaf can write in PhD form, mind you, their English is exceptional. But people who have not been highly educated in the deaf community may actually write what called deaf style. And I could read that and go, oh my God, that person's deaf. I will actually see that in their writing. I also am very familiar. I was married to a Jamaican man, and I can recognize Jamaican writing, what somebody's writing in patois. I just see it. There it is. Oh my God, these things are obvious. So a Jamaican, a deaf person, could have theoretically kidnapped Nancy Guthrie and put this into Google and said, make this sound better, make this sound more corporate, make this sound whatever. And they could. Yeah,
because I draft stuff all the time. And I'll cut and paste it and put it in to AI to make sure that my grammar's proper. I got my punctuations in it and stuff like that, because I write and draft letters all the time, including engagement letters, including some other reports that I send out that have nothing to do with true crime, that I send out to different organizations all around this country. And so, those types of things, you want to make sure you're professional. Well, I don't have anybody in here. I don't have a receptionist here. I don't have a secretary to help me. So I need somebody to proofread my stuff, but I don't want it not to be my words. So I'll draft it and then I'll cut and paste it into AI to correct it or to make it flow better, right? So that's how I do all of my stuff. So when people say, this is AI, which the good news is I haven't been hit with when I've done it that way, like when I've had AI like build my reports or do everything for me, which is not as inclusive and doesn't hit all the talking points I wanted to hit. That's why I do it myself. But you get major indicators that was created by AI. However, one thing I did notice is when I draft my own language and I stick it into AI, it's different. It doesn't flag it as AI. Like it has low AI on it. Like it might be, but it's a small percentage. And it's because it might have been drafted or went through there, but it wasn't drafted fully from AI. It was I wrote it. I just fixed it through AI, through the proofreading aspect of it. So just to throw that out there, folks, right? And they give you, when it rewrites it, it's like, this is your what would make it flow better, and you can accept that or not accept it, But anyway, I thought it was interesting. But I do believe that this has gone through AI. And if this was a person that doesn't speak the English language, I bet you it's somebody like Vietnam. I'm interested to find out if that lead that I got early on in this case is legitimate. So there's certain things that I've heard that I can't tell you guys I've heard, but I'm still waiting for indicators to say that these are right. And so far I haven't gotten them yet, but I'll let you know as they come in.
Would change up their writing and you would have no clue that they were deaf or Jamaican. Now, mind you, I don't think a deaf or Jamaican person was probably involved in this crime just because of the logistics and the location. But hey, we never know. But in that area, if somebody were using a different language, well, one person would be useful is a person were from Russia. The Bitcoin thing would work out well for them because it's harder to do anything with the Bitcoin when it goes, or there are Russians involved, just because the U.S. doesn't have certain
Interesting
things going on with Russia that would allow that. They would not allow the U.S. to
know
investigate in a way maybe some other
Interesting.
countries would. That's just an explanation, which
I
is
never even thought about that.
Beyond my.
Depending on what country it is, we may not. It may hinder our investigation into those ransom. So I think it does support. Wait a minute. I mean, like what she's saying right now would support. They can't seem to find this ransom. Why? Where's it going? Where did the URL or the IP address come back to? Interesting that it could have come back to a country that we don't have the ability to investigate. Like Russia. Do we have the ability to... I thought we had cooperation with Vietnam, but we may not. I thought we did, though. So maybe that's not
great
good.
expertise. But let's say there was a Russian guy. He could take his
Or if it's somebody from China.
Russian language and put it into Google Translate and come up with a version of English and put that in. But I think that's highly unlikely. Now, because of her proximity, Tucson, Arizona, to Mexico, many people think, well, maybe the person is Mexican. And okay, there's some things in the second, some things, one of the things in the second email, which said she's perished, which is an odd term to use, but there is a particular word in Spanish which would translate to perish when you're talking about somebody who's died. And okay, so maybe they're Mexican. Maybe they wrote in Spanish, went to Google Translate, and even after Google Translate, maybe they even went through a second translation. Just say, hey, change it up some more.
You know what? When I look at this, you know, there somebody thought that there was like a mole or something. I don't think that is. I think that's the nose. I wonder if they have a broad. You see how thin her nose is up here? And how her nose is thin right here? Like, I feel this is going to be this area right here that we're seeing peeking through that glass right here, leaving this shadow. And it's kind of inset on this. So I'm thinking they've got their mask offset on their nose, that it's hanging off their nose this way, which is distorting the broadness of this area right here. But I think the reason why we're seeing that right there is because that's his nose. That's like the you know, up here, the bone right here. And the mask, instead of it being centered right here, it's kind of off, exposing this more so than the other side. That's what I think that is. People have asked, and I've looked at that. But this right here, because look, I mean, you got your, right here, you've got your eyebrow that kind of goes over that bone a little bit right there, you know? And you kind of see the eyebrow right here going into that bridge. I mean, I guess the bridge is right here, but it's not really the bridge. It's up above the bridge. It's right here at that V spot right here is where... And you got the hair going into it. So this is what I think that you're seeing over there, is this spot right here. And I think that the nose piece is just not sitting centered on the nose. I think it's off centered, and it's exposing that bone right there. That's what I think is is going on with this image behind. But I do believe that these ransom notes are AI generated for whatever reason, and with she's buried with nature now could have been a translated from one language to another, a translation issue. So the person that produced this wouldn't have known whether it was right or wrong.
So will investigators maybe look into possible people from Mexico, Mexican descent, people who are whatever, and then maybe she was taken to Mexico and her body's down there in nature, possibly. Should they look at it? Absolutely. Does it mean that the letter writer is Mexican? No. Here's another thing. Could the letter writer be from India? Well, there's a reasonable Indian population at the university nearby. And I note that it says here, hello, Savannah, which is a kind of unusual thing to start a letter with, especially to somebody who, kidnapped their mother. Hello is kind of odd. But if you've ever gotten a lot of scam...
I think if there was pantyhose over his face, the night image would have had a glare over. When he turned, you would have been able to see it from the glare of the night vision light. Because pantyhose are, if you stretch them out, they're kind of luminescent a little bit, like they're not dull. They're not like a matte finish. They're kind of more of like a satin finish where it has like a gloss to it a little bit when you wear them.
Emails from people from India. It starts out with hello dear. You see hello dear, click off. Okay, so that's interesting. There's also some other things in this language here that make me, because I spent a lot of time in India, make me say, hey, it's kind of Indian-ish.
Interesting.
And I can, okay, so as a profile, I can get very excited and say, all right, maybe this person's from India. And where's the Walmart? And what's near the Walmart? Oh, look, there's a Sikh Gurdwara, which is like their place where they worship. And look, there's a Punjabi restaurant. Very close. Could the person be from the university?
Interesting.
And be in this community and write this letter? Well, sure.
That would be creepy because, I have referred to Brian Koberger in some of these things. And if we find out it's somebody from another university, I'm going to lose my stuff. I'm pretty much going to lose my stuff. That is just insanity. Absolutely insanity. Could it be? Could it be from the university? I have to be honest, folks. I don't know if it'd be shocking.
Should investigators investigate? A possibility? Sure. But should people from the internet going crazy and start being obnoxious as hell, saying, oh my God, this guy's a Sikh? No.
The internet does have a tendency to do that. That's why I always caution people, please don't do that. Whatever you see on this channel, do not go attack anybody. We do not attack people. We do not argue with people. There are people on these platforms that I will call out, and I call out for exposing, not necessarily for any other purposes. I just want to make sure that you guys are fully aware of what you guys are getting into, especially with some of these channels.
Because there's not evidence of that. It's interesting, but there's no proof of that. Because again, we could take the same thing. We could have a person who's totally 100% American, born in America, could be a Caucasian, who just wanted to disguise their writing and threw it in there, and that's what they came up with. So the police have no
idea.
clue.
Happy Cappy. The hello is so off. It
the
is.
Nationality,
everything's so off.
Or the culture, or the race, or anything of the letter writer at this point in time. The problem with them putting this out here is that nobody else is going to really have any idea either. I mean, I've thrown out a bunch of stuff, which is probably...
But I also believe that by them throwing it out, they're done with it. They don't need it anymore. It's no longer evidentiary value that they need. They want to identify the people that wrote it. That's what they want to do. Now, Chris Nanos is going to put the urgency behind it and saying, I think if we find these people, we're going to break the case wide open. I don't believe that. I believe that they need to find the people. They need the urgency to find the people. They blew their opportunity to make this an urgent matter months ago when they should have, because everybody, from my understanding, and I got on a good accord that they knew that these were bunk a long time ago. This should have been released a long time ago, and I don't know why they weren't. They have no evidentiary value, and they hung up on these over a stupid Apple Watch that could have been observed by a number of other ways, period.
Fairly well, okay, you can investigate it, but is it highly useful? Not necessarily. Now, when we go back to the Unabomber, when those communications were put out, it was finally the best thing they did, because he was prior to times where you can change up anything. And his brother read that and said, no, that's my brother. It was great. And I think they should have done the same thing with the DC snipers, because I would have recognized the Jamaican writing. But in this case, with this day and age, and this person's already very adept with using computers, I don't think it's going to do a crap load of good, personally. And the other thing that's really interesting about this is both of these ransom notes came from the same IP address. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you're going to send ransom notes, you really don't want to be caught. So my belief is, they had to use a VPN. I have a VPN. I use ExpressVPN. I'm not pushing them. I'm not advertising for them, but that's what I use. And I use it because as profiler, when I want to look at certain cases, documentaries come out, but they come out in England, or they come out in Australia, and I'm not allowed to access them because I'm not in those countries. So I'm able to access some of those documentaries by using a VPN and placing myself in London, placing myself in Sydney, in order to be able to get to see them. That's why I have the VPN. But what I normally do is I don't usually keep the VPN on. Now, some people always have a VPN on because it protects them more, from more scammers and things like that, people getting hold of your information. They use it for protection.
I don't use a VPN. I think they're absolutely worthless. I mean, they do give you access, like she says, to other content from other countries, but I don't look at the content from other countries for my analyses, except like ransoms and stuff like that. But I had enough content with what we were able to search overseas that it was good.
I really worry about that, but some people do that, so it's on 24/7. But if I go on, I suddenly say, I want to go to the BBC site and watch something. Then what I do is I click on my VPN, I put myself in London, then I go to the BBC site. And then I leave the BBC site, then I pull off the VPN. And therefore, my IP address is only one time coming out of that zone.
I'm sorry to hear that, Ruby.
Then next time I come back, even if I go back to London again, it'll be two different IPNs. IP addresses from that VPN. Now, this person supposedly is the IP address was the same both times. So that means to me, he left the VPN on.
So they left the VPN on, and we should be able to circumvent VPNs in the United States of America. I'm very concerned that we're not further along on these ransom notes. We have 12. Actually, I don't know how many ransom notes we have, but we definitely have 2 that they were the most concerned with, related to this case from the very beginning. And those ransom notes were at least one set. I believe there are more ransom notes that are classified as 1 and 2. I don't believe they read exactly the same from one organization to the other, based upon everything that I have been able to gather so far. It seems like everybody's got different ransom notes, but they seem to have the same information in them, but written differently. That has always been a concern, because I've posted a lot of things in my advocacy on here from organization to organization, where I had to have a form letter that I sent to this place because I'm trying to get help, and I don't know who's going to be able to help me. So I draft a letter, like in Word or in whatever place I can draft a letter in, and then I cut and paste that into all of these emails to all of these different people once I've proofread it, and this is what I want to send. So every single organization I send that letter to gets the exact same letter from organization to organization, because I'm not writing 20 different letters. I'm only writing one letter and putting the salutation differently on each one of those emails. That's it. So if Joe Blow and Jane Blow got an email from Bullhorn Betty, they would be identical except the salutation, the name, dear so-and-so, right? To whom it may concern. So for them to have different letters to different places, that's concerning to me. How is that possible, is what I'd ask myself. It seems like a group of people with formed letters behind the scene that do the same thing. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like a group of people, not a singular person. It sounds like a scam.
Whatever VPN I was using, he just had the VPN on a certain place that probably was not going to be useful. In other words, it wasn't something, it wasn't a local thing probably. It was probably out of some other country, because that's what it's so simple to do. I don't think this guy was any big genius, because I don't even think he understood how he's going to get the Bitcoin into his own hands. I don't know what this.
And
this
again,
person
it comes down to why, and this has been one of the biggest statements I have made from the beginning of this case when we found out about these ransom notes. My question has always been, how do we have somebody that has this, that took all of this care and all of this planning in getting Nancy Guthrie out of the house, but then fell short on the planning to get the money, the purpose of why they took her out of the house to begin with? It never made sense to me. And the reason why it never made sense to me is because it supported that these ransom notes were hoaxes. They were extortion attempts, plain and simple. That tells me that the reason why Nancy was taken out of that house has nothing to do with these ransom notes. So why was she taken? Now, some people, and I've had this put out there, some people believe she was taken for ransom but died before they could ever even attempt to act the ransom. That's what some people, and I think that falls short too. Because they could have left something at that house. They could have left something at that house. They could have used her own paperwork, her own stationery, her own pen. They didn't have to bring theirs, so they wouldn't have to worry about contamination or anything like that. They could have used what was there. They could have used spray paint on the wall and say, "We have your mother." There was a lot of stuff that they could have done in the over an hour that they were at that house, that this person was at her house. They could have done more to make sure that they knew there was going to be a letter coming for ransom, and that this was going to be how they knew that this was them. They would have left something like spray paint, a marker, crayon, ripped a curtain, moved something that was very important in one spot and moved it to another spot, just to be able to say, I took this and I moved this from here to here. That would have been pretty telling, but none of that was done. It was all general. The only spot that I can see where somebody might have perked their eyes up was the watch at the foot of the bed. But now I know the design of Miss Guthrie's house. I know where her sliding glass doors were. I know that law enforcement wasn't paying attention to the people outside. I know that there were looky-loos. And I know for a fact that there was mainstream media in those first few hours out there on the scene recording every little thing that law enforcement was doing. And if they turned the lights on in that house at night on the 1st, somebody out there in the that they couldn't see, either in the wilderness or across the street, looking in on what they were doing inside that house, and may have seen that watch. Not enough for me to take and hijack a case for 6 months down a rabbit hole with this nonsense. This was, again, piss poor. If they really did spend this much time on these letters, you want to know why this case is where it's at right now? Well, I guess the proof, once again, is in the pudding.
we're thinking. But I think it was just probably a VPN. Theoretically, it could have also, used a public computer.
I said that too.
If it was always on the same IP address, maybe.
But I feel like if they used a public computer, they would have been able to locate that public computer. So I think that kind of diminishes that aspect of it. We have the Bitcoin, and we found out yesterday that the Bitcoin, when they tickled the wire, they gave them a website. It says, we are ready to pay. Contact us at da-da-da-da-da. So they put $150 some odd to tickle the wire with a website for them to log into. And anybody would have known that website would have recorded who they are. And then as we're taking a look at a closer look at the crime scene tied to the Nancy Guthrie case, Chris Castanera, private detective based in Phoenix, volunteers his time to search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie on February 5th, 4 days after she disappeared from her Tucson home. That's him taking a picture of some other stuff. Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home in an affluent Catalina Foothills area north of Tucson, Arizona, and suspected kidnapping for ransom. Pima County Sheriff's Department labeled Guthrie's house the crime scene after finding evidence she did not leave on her own. We've got Guthrie was last seen entering her home on the evening of January 31st after her son-in-law dropped her off after a family dinner nearby. We have the media outlets and private security gather outside of Nancy Guthrie's house on February 4th as officials search the property for clues in her disappearance. Pima County Sheriff's Department deputy patrols Guthrie's property on February 10th after authorities appear to search a manhole in the backyard. Investigators block off the entry to Guthrie's property after reporters on the crime scene witnessed blood on her front steps on February 4th. Then the FBI comes in. Neighbors start a memorial on the curb in front of Guthrie's home on February 3rd, encouraging people to leave yellow ribbons as a symbol for her safe return. And there were some of people in her community that were absolutely garbage piece of human being. To have that kind of money and that kind of ugly and black heart, just shameful. Neighbors start a memorial on the curb of the front of Nancy Guthrie's house on February 3rd, encouraging, we heard that. Then we have private detective Chris Castanera volunteers to scan Guthrie Street for clues. I would like to know who he saw driving up and down that day and those first few days. FBI released new images of Nancy Guthrie's front doorbell footage on February 10th showing an armed, masked individual appearing to tamper with the camera on the morning of her disappearance. New images show a close-up of the unidentified individual at Nancy's front door. I wonder if somebody can bleach out the white, have that light, and maybe clear up that image a little bit more, because this is going to be the best image right here. If we can get that night light to be reduced significantly, we might be able to see a little more of his mouth. I'd like to see that. I know we got some really good photo people in here. I'd like to see some of you guys taking some of this stuff and maybe getting some images. This one's a little blurry, but we might be able to freshen this up and look at those eyes. Those eyes, that's a great picture of the eyes. I'd like to see the bridge of the nose, or the width of the nose up the top of the eyes. So if you guys would like a hand in that, go ahead and do that and send that to me, what you find. The masked individual at Guthrie's door is described as 5'9", 5'10" tall with an average build. Authorities seek help to identify the masked individuals. Live streamers, journalists, and a Pima County Sheriff's Department deputy gather at the home of Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-old mother of U.S. journalist and TV host Savannah Guthrie, who went missing from her home in Tucson. This photo was taken on February 9th. Investigators show renewed interest at the home on February 4th, which we are very well aware of that. It was a lot It was a lot. Pima County Sheriff released a photo of Nancy Guthrie as her family offered $1 million reward for her recovery. So we got nothing really more left of Miss Nancy Guthrie. Let's see what else we got here. Which one was this one? I know we got a few. 5 key pieces of evidence. That's what we're going to get to tomorrow. I think this is the tomorrow show. I've already got tomorrow's show ready. Yes. So this is for tomorrow. We're doing all this tomorrow. So that's really all we have for today's show, this morning's show. I want to thank everybody for coming out. If you guys know who I am, I'm Bullhorn Betty. Again, please, if this is your first time seeing me, consider subbing up to the channel. We do cover a lot of stuff. We go in depth. We care about these cases. We're not, we do want people to pay attention to our show, but we're not here for the clicks and the views, if that makes sense. We are monetized because I do this all day. There has to be some type of revenue stream that allows me to do this all day. So that's how we've got it set up. This is the work that I do. I do this. I do community activism and community work around the state of Florida as well as around the country. We go to the front doors of these places, typically in most cases. Right now, I'm dealing with my own legal expenses in Sumner County that did exactly what Pima County did to the 3 guys out there. So I understand what they're going through, and at least their case is right in their backyard that they can still cover it. Mine was, thousands of miles, about 1,000 miles away. It was in Tennessee when this was going, so it really hindered my ability to help that case quite a lot. And it was done by the mom and the stepfather, the people that we believe injured the child. That's who was conspiring with the law enforcement out there to try to shut people up about the case. So I do understand the corruption. I do understand what they are going through. But either way, if you guys are coming by here, if you're on the replay crew, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't get your notification today and you're coming across this and you've been a subscriber to the Bullhorn Betty channel, now would be your time to call to action to unsubscribe, resubscribe, but make sure you turn that bell to all. Every time you subscribe to a channel, it sets you on personalized, okay? So you just can't hit the subscribe button. You have to take one more step once you subscribe and go over to that little bell right next to it and change it and make sure that bell is filled in. Because once you subscribe, you'll still see that bell is hollow. You want that bell filled in, and the only way you can fill that bell in is clicking on it and selecting all. So make sure you guys do that so you don't miss any additional content from the Bullhorn Betty show. We break these cases down. We ask our audience what they believe this means to them. We give you our analysis of this. I can promise you, because I am not an investigator, because I am not a law enforcement officer, because I'm not retired from law enforcement, I've got to research this stuff. I can't come here and say that this is this because I don't have that knowledge. So what do? I've got to research all of these different elements. I've got to look at the statistics of all these different elements so I can come here and properly educate you guys on information. If you make your decisions, you make your decisions. There's nothing I can do about the decisions you choose to make. But while you're here on Bullhorn Betty, at the Bullhorn Betty channel and show, we educate you. So at least if you're making decisions, you're making decisions based on good information, right? It's all about informed, right? Informed consent, informed information, informed decision making. We cannot make decisions in these cases of what these cases mean to us without the proper facts and information. And that's what we try very hard to bring you. And we build our cases on those facts. I try very hard to make sure you guys know what's speculative and what is truly fact. So if that's what you like in true crime, and that's what you like when you come and turn on YouTube or any other social media, then subscribe to the Bullhorn Betty channel and support our channel. Help us grow. Hit that thumbs up button and share us around and let people know what kind of conversations we're having here on this show and discuss those in chats in other places. That's how we get these messages out. That's how we grow. And that's how we learn that, Betty needs, a bra for her melons. And you'd never have that type of news on any other channel on YouTube. Thank you. We had a lot of shocking news today. And as bashful as I am, we were talking about Bullhorn Betty's melons. We were talking about Bullhorn Betty's melons. And we have the melons. Yep. We got the melons. We got the melons. All right, you have a great Sunday. Sunday, guys, go make it a great day. Pray, pray, pray. A lot of people are struggling that we know nothing about, including the Guthrie family. And we talk about the Guthrie family, frankly. And it does, you know, I feel bad that they're going through what they're going through on a personal level. I truly do feel bad for the family. My heart does bleed for the Guthrie family. And I'm sorry that I have to point out some things. I really do. I'm sorry that this is the case and that it seems like I'm being very unkind to this family. And it breaks my heart that I feel like I'm victimizing family to talk about their case. But, you know, we feel like there's some denial had here. And I don't know how to address this case and try to be, you know, have a good balance of empathy and sympathy as well as, you know, honesty. And that's the balance that me as well as a lot of content creators are having right now, because our hearts do break for the Guthrie family. But the Guthrie family is a little disappointing. And them wagging their finger at social media all the time is not strengthening the help that they can get. It's actually, I feel like it's distracting away from it. And I hope and I pray that Savannah understands we are all here trying to help her. But her behavior and her family's behavior, especially with all of us in true crime, just doesn't bode with the seriousness of this case. And we understand that, you know, not all cases are going to bode with what we think they should bode with. But constantly beating the people that are here fighting and trying to find answers is not a great path forward. It's not a good strategy. It really isn't. And I hope that Savannah stops, because I don't want her ruining her career. I don't want her, you know, adding more pressure and chaos to her shoulders that she doesn't need. And I feel like these little stabs are just so unnecessary. This isn't about her frustration. It's about her mom. And I hope she starts really taking this seriously and start refocusing about her mom, because honestly, I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't really care about what her and her family are going through. Okay? Until we find out what Nancy has gone through, I don't really care about their complaining. Okay? And I'm sure that there's a lot of people with me, and I don't know how to say that nicely. Okay? I don't think that there's a lot of nice ways to say the truth in this matter when it comes to them thinking that we really care about their feelings and the agony that they're going through. We're sorry that you're going through it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change the fact we need to find your mom. We don't know who did this. And before we really start diving in and holding you up as a family, we need to make sure that none of your family had anything to do with this. And while we do believe that the sheriff has cleared the immediate family, that doesn't change the facts of this case. We don't know who did this. And we're all very skeptical. And we're all just trying to take our time and do this right. And there are some things there are some accusations that are being flown out there, but they're not being flown out there by all content creators. And to be painting all content creators with this broad brush is a little is bullcrap, and it's going to turn good people that are supporting this family away from this family. And I hope they just change direction with this aspect. That's all I'm asking. Is I just don't think that this, you know, here is necessary. And I do want them to find answers for their mother, but I don't think they're going to do that by pissing everybody off. So, you know, but we need to show grace too. This is a family that's hurting. So I hope the world out there understands that people that are hurting, they act a little differently. Okay. And like I said, the people from Hollywood and New York, they're just a different breed than the rest of us, okay? There's something wrong with them. I don't get it. Their brains just don't think the way ours do, okay? They're just different people. They're just creatures. They're different creatures. And unfortunately, Savannah Guthrie is part of that realm of creatures. And so they're not acting the same. Remember, they're hoity-toity. They're snooty as shit. They think they're better than you. You know, you're the poop on the bottom of their shoe, okay? That's how hoity-toity Miss Savannah Guthrie is with all her sweetness. So let's not get it twisted. But again, I want to caution people that this family is truly suffering, and they are not going to act. They're going to be angry, and I feel like this is her lashing out at the people that believed her family could ever do this. But she's an attorney. She should be well versed. This should not be shocking to her. Yet she's shocked. Like I said, people in Hollywood and people in New York are just, they're too smart for their own britches. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. And I want to remind you, we are doing an investigative report this afternoon on the flock cameras. Okay, flock is perpetrating this entire country right now. This is a mass surveillance of American citizens at the largest level I have ever seen. And they're trying to convince us this is for our safety. Please be cautious. Please, please, please be cautious. We're going to be going over it. Listen, guys, I'm not going to make decisions for you. Again, it's not my will, it's your will. But one thing I am going to do is I'm going to make sure you are well informed on what these things are. That's my job, right? So my job, I don't care about what people choose to do once they are truly informed of the information. But until you aren't fully informed of the information, I don't believe you can fully consent. And without informed consent, I don't see how we should have trackers on our country or on us. So we are going to be going over the information on these cameras, these AI cameras, and people call them flock cameras, but flock is just a vendor, okay? Is only one vendor of many vendors in this country. So these are AI license plate readers, but they get more serious than just license plates. They are tracking people's movements. And just because they have stringent policies here in my community, these cameras are all linked together nationally. So that means somebody in Washington, D.C. can, in fact, be monitoring Bullhorn Betty's movements here in Florida. And I'm sorry, Washington, D.C., you ain't putting money in my bank account. You ain't putting food in my cabinets. And you ain't giving Betty any nighttime favors, okay? So you don't get to know where the heck I am, and you don't get to ask, and you don't get to spy. I want Washington, D.C. out of my bedroom, okay? That's what I want. I want Washington, D.C. out of my bedroom. And everybody else should too. This does not just affect, this is a bipartisan, this is something that affects all of us. I don't want to hear, I can tell you, we have had a lot of people out there. They are not all Republicans, independents, or Democrats. we're all together in this. I can tell you that. Nobody's happy, and not one criminal, drug banger, gang banger, drug dealer, pimp, or prostitute was out there with us complaining that they don't want to be followed, okay? The people that were out there with me were law-abiding citizens that go to church on Sunday. And guess what? They don't want to be followed. They don't want to be tracked. They don't want our government being able to circumvent the Fourth Amendment of our Constitution. They want them to have the subpoena to go and get that information. They already have it at Walmart stores. So we need to make sure that we're fighting against this stuff. If like I said, we're going to inform people. It's not my decision to make decisions on whether you want these things or not. My only job here at this point is to make sure you have all the information about these cameras, so you yourself will be able to make informed decisions on whether you want the cameras in your community or not, okay? I have done the research. I want these cameras out of my community. I want them out. I want them out. I don't want them here. We just spent a shit ton of money, and the sheriff's going to have to try to justify his budget, but I want these things out of this community. And when I start throwing a fit, it may take me 2 years to get them out, but I'm telling you, these cameras are coming out. I'm just letting you know, Manatee County, your flock cameras are coming out of the ground. They're coming out. So we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. But Manatee County, you are on notice. We are taking these cameras down. We've got enough support around this community to take these cameras down. These cameras are coming out. Rick, please pull them out. Please don't make us fight with you to get these cameras gone. You should have been the first one fighting for our protections of freedom and privacy. Shame on you, Rick. Shame on you, Rick. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe. More importantly, kind to one another. God bless. We'll see you soon. I hear the bell. Hold on. Oh, she didn't come. I don't hear the steps.